For those on video, I will just introduce myself, Julie Reyes, Chairperson of Community Board 8. And I welcome all in attendance. The community is welcome to attend the committee meetings where they will have more of an opportunity to engage and discuss their issues. At the executive meeting, non-members are not allowed to participate, but you're welcome to attend. An executive committee member marked absent may be permitted to speak if called on, but does not have privilege to vote should a vote take place. Those with approval of extraordinary circumstances this evening are Sylvia Alexander, Kelly Research, and Chuck Miller. And most of us know each other. There's just one person in the room I don't know. If you want to introduce yourself.
It's me, Eric Harvey from the Riverdale
Eric,
Park.
I talk to you all the time on the phone. I like to put a face.
Face.
I know. Oh, welcome. I know you.
Everybody.
No, I know you've been here before too. I haven't been here. Well, welcome, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I'll start off with my report. This will be brief. Due to personal reasons, board member Eliane Lobo has resigned, and we wish her well. She was one of the new members, and hopefully she'll reapply again in the future, and we'll welcome her back. She sends her regrets and goodbyes to everyone. A change of date for the June board meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 26th, still at Wave Hill. A recommendation will be made to the incoming chairperson to meet with board member Marty Wolpoff and district manager, Farah Gil-Rubin, and Ramzat has also been invited to discuss religious holidays and the calendar. And as I mentioned in the past, if you have any questions or comments that could be answered before board meeting, please feel free to contact the office, myself or Farah, or any committee chair or someone, so that we don't take a valuable time at a board meeting on anything that could be answered in-house. Any resolutions that are not submitted to the office the day before the board, and this was mentioned in the past before, they could just be brought up from the floor, because the office gathers everything for the meeting, and we have to send it out to the membership. So please try to have the resolutions in. CNY the fire department will make a presentation, a very short presentation, at our next meeting, which will be held at Stevenson Church. St. Stephen's Church. And that will be on May 14th. Bronx Week is, even though it's not a week, it's a 12-month event, and we're getting the calendar for the events in the Bronx. The board president mentioned that she would love participation in any events. As soon as we get the calendars, we'll share it. And we have sent out an email to see if anybody wanted to participate in the Bronx Week Parade on May 19th. We have until May 10th to respond if anyone wants to participate as a community board. And I know it conflicts with another event within our board that Farah will discuss. So we're just putting it out there, and you can contact the board and let us know what, if any, event you would like to participate. Okay, Con Edison. Con Edison sent us a letter. Actually, they sent us a request. They sent us a request asking if we would support extending the joint bidding law, which is set to sunset in December. This is handled by the Assembly and the Senate. And basically what it is, the Con Edison works with all the utilities, and they have an agreement so that it's an easy process for them if they're already included in the contract, so that when the agencies are doing any work within the city, Con Edison can work jointly with them. This has been in effect with them, I think they said since over 10 years. And it's just sunsetting in December, so they're asking for support. So we reached out to the senators and the assemblies, and Senator Rivera advised he was in favor of the original bill. In 2014 was the original bill, and he supports extending it because it will have to be brought to them, so we wanted to reach out to them to get their feedback before we give a letter of support. Senator Jackson says he supports the extension. Assemblyman Zinowitz advised that he wasn't really familiar with it, but it seemed okay because he took a look at the paperwork, and so he's in favor of us going ahead and giving support. And then we checked also around with the district, with various community boards, and only because we received the notice late, they didn't give a letter of support. Because they drafted the letter last month and they gave it to us like a week later, and then David, when we sent out the letter to the board members, David, you had responded with an inquiry in regards to opponents, and they said that really didn't apply for that because they're already in it and they're just looking to extend it. So far, we don't have any information of any other utility companies that would do it.
No, it wasn't, actually, it was the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if any of the contractors said they didn't want it, because conceivably, giving Con Ed that kind of power could give them a lot of leverage in whatever negotiations they enter in with contractors.
Okay, the contractors are actually the ones that they're supporting it. We have a list in the letter. It should have been in the email. The contractors are also asking for support of this.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to reach out and check with everybody before we give the support to make sure that the Assembly and the Senators were in favor of it. So that letter will go out unless anyone has any objections. Okay. Okay. And then the Riverdale Senior Services is having a 50th anniversary event, and they're also looking to see if we can give them a letter of support or something to put into their journal. They hosted our last aging committee and gave a very nice presentation of all the services that they provide, and I'm sure everyone in here knows of the Riverdale Senior Services. Does anyone not know of them? Okay, so we would like to give a letter of support for their organization. It's the 50 and Fabulous celebration, and it will be held in June 16th, I believe it is. Yes.
You have to pay for an ad in the journal?
No.
Just a letter?
Yeah, no payment.
No worries.
That was my question. We're just writing a letter saying they're a good organization.
Congratulations.
Right.
Congratulations, exactly.
Right. No, we wouldn't pay for an ad, I'm told, and we wouldn't pay to attend any event.
Mhm.
Okay, and another organization that's also asking for like a letter of support for their journal is the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance. They're having a springtime shindig on May 16th. Does anyone have any objections to that?
Are you gonna write the letter? Last year I wrote the letter.
Feel free.
If you really want to, I don't wanna, like, you know.
No, that's okay, it's your committee. Thank you.
When is it due?
One of them was due like this week.
By the end of the week, I'd say.
I'll speak to you afterwards.
Okay, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can work off of last year's draft.
Okay, that'd be perfect, thank you. And I think that's the end of my report. Yes, does anyone have any questions?
Two.
Yes,
Simple. St. Stephen's, our meeting,
yes,
is that the one across from Marble Hill?
yes.
Okay, thank you. And the other is, the June meeting, is that because the Philharmonic is playing on that Tuesday, the 13th or whatever? Because I just saw somebody who said he had heard it was canceled because of budget cuts, and I was thinking, well, the city may have budget cuts, but the Philharmonic, I don't think has had budget cuts. So as far as we know, the concert's still on.
As far as we know, the concert's still on, but the date change is really because of, what was brought up at the board meeting, because we have been promoting that the date had been originally changed to, I think, June 13th. Because we changed the date originally because of Philharmonic. And then at the last board meeting, there was a big discussion that it's a religious holiday, it's on that day.
I think that's all right.
So thankfully, Wave Hill, you know, to get them on, June, which is tight, and they were gracious enough to accommodate us and change the date. That's why, Marty and Farah and Ramzat and whoever the new chair is will hopefully meet in the summer, because, Marty has always assisted the office on that. And that's why I always mention, if there's something to say, bring it up at like exec, or call the office, or text us, do something. But I think to be done, yeah, but just let me finish. Just to do it, I don't know, I just felt that it was almost like an attack, you know? And it was, we spent so much time on that. And like my heart was going, we gotta get out, you know, so that's all I ask. And I know it was done in good faith, but still.
And I just want to add to that, that I always send a draft of each month to all of you to do exactly that. Give me your comments. So, you know, I will continue to do that, but every month I send it. I don't post it. I wait till we discuss if there's any conflicts or anything. So I just want that to be noted as well.
But I will say the one thing that the rabbi did mention at the meeting, which I thought was a good point, that our community is changing, and that we don't know, some of us don't know about other cultures and diversity. So maybe in the future to have the different cultures come to our meetings and just give like a 3-minute, 5-minute talk on their culture, what's normal, what's not. Because I was telling him, he mentioned that at the beginning, and I thought that was true. Because when I first moved around here, my niece, she was like about 8 or 9, and I was walking her to the bus stop, her and her grandmother, and a bunch of men in the dark clothing with the curls. She got scared. She thought they were going to mug us, you know. So, yeah, some people don't know the culture. So that is one thing that the rabbi said, and I thought it was interesting. And since we are getting more diverse, I know I see it from being on this board 25 years. I think it would be good to have different cultures. Just come and give us just a little tidbit, you know. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, we have all some of the things about it. Sylvia, Kelly, do you guys have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that's it from my report. So we'll go to the treasurer's report.
Good evening, everyone. This is the treasurer report for May 2024.
Let me just share screen, sorry.
So it looks like second row.
No, here.
All right, we have 98,304 remaining, of which OTPS,
Doing the right one?
No.
Sorry.
Fire.
No, I think this is the wrong,
Mhm.
this isn't the updated one, right? The,
Just May.
no, we had a little,
change the mod.
we only changed this number?
Yeah, that should
Need
be
to change.
23.
Hold on, I'm sorry, give me one
Yeah,
second.
that was the,
It should be 23.
Revised is the top one?
Yeah, where is that?
Yep, that one.
It's 23.
23, 24, which is where we are.
No, I'm sorry, there was a, let me just see here.
Oh, I misread that.
It's not this one, right?
no.
Okay, we had a slight change and we switched the,
Is that this, is modified draft?
No, that's the mod. Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. Give me one.
You can look by the time. Look at
Yeah. What time was this
Is
one?
it the May budget mod draft up there?
No, there's just the treasurer's report we're looking for, but we had 2 versions because we had to switch a number. Let me just see what this shows. No, this is the other one. Okay, I'm gonna give everyone a copy of it. It's just one number change from that, the total number, so let me just give everyone.
Do the roll call?
Not yet. Mm-mm. We're not voting on anything yet, but we will do the roll.
No, just to kill the time.
Okay, so it'll be right in front of you. I think Farrah has the list.
Margaret, you want to just?
Okay.
Margaret's reaching for it.
Well, Margaret came in quiet.
Okay, Julie Reyes,
Here.
whoever's pen this is, Sergio Villaverde, Margaret Della, present, Joy Campbell Privateer. Present. Laura Spalter. Present. Sylvia Alexander.
Here.
Bob Bender.
Here.
Kelly Buford.
Present.
Nicholas Fazio. David Gelman.
Present.
Mary Ellen Gibbs.
Present.
Rosemary Ginty. Here. Dr. Gomez. Edward Green.
Present.
Rabbi Kaplan. Oscar Martinez. Charles Merdler. Daniel Rowan.
Here.
Deborah Travis.
Present.
Martin Wolpoff.
Present.
Thought we already... Laura Spalter?
You got her.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, you're twice.
I'm twice, yep.
Okay.
Is the other one here?
Well, the real Laura. Well, the real Laura spoke.
Signed twice, so that's good enough. We're covered in both sides.
I followed instructions, I took
Where's your absentee ballot?
We have 12 members present in the room that, meets quorum.
Rebecca has her hand up.
I'm gonna ask everyone to take one of each, okay? That's the second page.
Rebecca, can you hear me?
First page. Just pass it
Is that
down.
her hand or is that, oh, okay.
No, that's the,
It's a cursor.
Who's the cursor?
Thank you, Daniel.
Sorry, Joy, I don't know.
it sure looks like that. And I kinda, I was like, maybe there's a way to do that, I don't know.
That would be a great cursor, though, the Zoom hand.
Right?
Talk to the hand.
Okay. So,
Here it is. Very slight difference, okay.
Could you pass this to Bob?
Sure.
And, Ed?
what are we looking for?
Okay.
All right, these are the same thing, aren't
This is the second page.
Oh, okay.
All right, so of the 98,304, the OTPS remaining for the year is 23,851. 1.1 itemizes that amount, most of which is in the codes 100. One point two is the budget mod, so I'm gonna direct the board's attention to addendum A.
We put the budget mod out for everyone to take one. This is out there,
That's in the gym,
and then I can share.
This one?
That's it. Oh, wait, no, that's the projected. All right, let me get those. Now we have the budget mod here.
Is that it?
That's gonna be, no, sorry.
draft.
Hold on. Well, I hope it's the right one, there were two.
So it has to be 23,851.
Oh, wait.
Now the two addendum Bs.
Let's see what we have here, open it up. What is going on today? Mail,
Is that it?
report, budget mod, here we go. Okay. Yes.
Okay,
I'll
so,
make it bigger.
Will this make it bigger?
Yeah, 'cause it'll put it, yeah, and then you can make this window bigger, or just download it again.
Here we go.
the budget mod was necessary to cover the cleaning costs through the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. And so, we needed to close the gap of 1621, and the codes that were taken from are in parens. 302, 250 was taken from that, 451 from code 315 office equipment, code 40B, I'm sorry, is it 40B?
400?
400, 360, 403, $60 was taken from that. Code 600, thank you, 500, and then the total 621.
1621.
1621, sorry. And again, this is to cover the cleaning costs, to take us through the end of the year, next month, the June 30th. All right, so the proposed budget mod detail, the resolution, the following table details the current, operational budget for fiscal year 2024 for Community Board 8, and the budget mods necessary to properly reallocate funding to support the work of the board office. Whereas, to support the work of the board office, a budget mod for fiscal year 24 has been prepared and is below. Be it resolved, Community Board 8 approves the budget mod in order to further support the work of the Community Board office. Okay. Now we're going to go to 1.3, purchase of order and accounts payable. You see on the, I guess that would be the second page of the handout, 1471 is the total.
It's in front of us.
We have it in front of
That's
us.
the second page of the handout, right. And 1.4, rent and energy detail, which the board has no discretion on the spending, remaining is 1076. 1.5 is the proposed, draft fiscal year 2025 operating budget.
That's the handout.
Addendum B.
Yep.
Yeah.
Addendum B.
You have that? I have two.
You this morning?
Anybody? Okay, we'll take care of this then.
Thank you.
Addendum B or whatever.
Let me just share mine. Okay, so we looked at last year's, and also I want to thank Scott Compinter, my friend, for being so gracious, for spending time and doing them, to, hear me, and Sarah and Artie with, putting this together. Scott's a kind and good person, and, I want to make sure the record reflects that, I appreciate his efforts. Initially, last year, we asked for $37,590, and if you recall, then the mayor cut the budget, and so the gap was filled in with unspent salaries. This year, we're asking for less than the ask from last year. So it's $34,266, and there are 4 codes where there's an appreciable increase. Code 100 is going up to $88.93, and that's based upon the anticipated spending, including, I believe, an OWL purchase, some sort of telecom system, to better facilitate the board meetings. 40B is, going to go down from 5,000 to 2,483, because until that's all the city took, so that's gonna be our new baseline. 499, the cushion last year was, this time was 20,000. However, that was, modified down to 10,000, so we're maintaining the $10,000 cushion. And finally, code 624 is gonna go up from last year, from 5,000 to 7,800. Again, that's a baseline, based upon the expenses, the cleaning to date through fiscal year '24. So we're gonna start there, and I believe, if necessary, Sarah will negotiate, a new contract, but at least that's what has already been spent to date, and so that's, it makes sense to make that the budget, the starting point for the for next year. And, so this reads as, based on the current needs of the office, following budget is recommended for fiscal year 2025 for Bronx Community Board 8 by the Treasurer and Board Chair. Whereas the Treasurer and Chair of Bronx Community Board 8 prepared a projected operating budget below for the Board's expenses for fiscal year 2025, be it resolved that Community Board 8 approves the projected operating budget for fiscal year 2025. And again, the total is 34,266, which is less than the ask for last time. A reasonable based upon the projected expenses for the board for next year. Yes.
The first, is this represent the OTPS portion of the operating budget, or does this also include PS?
Just OTPS.
Just
OTPS, right?
OTPS,
Okay.
yeah, because the PS is
This
salary.
person's salary.
Yeah.
And then
We have no discretion over that.
Right, no.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and then the other thing,
is, in terms of moving offices, is there any cushion, like, we made our cushion smaller, but it seems like we could have surprise expenses if we actually did end up moving. Is there enough of a buffer to help with that if that ends up being the case? You know, there's even been talk of moving offices twice.
More than twice. 6, 7 years, you guys, yeah.
like moving out of this one to a temporary one in this building, and then
We'd have to
potentially moving to a different
readjust.
site.
We'd have to readjust. You know, and then we'd also ask the elected officials for assistance too.
Bob?
Yeah, so I have two questions. So we're actually allocating less for OPS next year than this year, correct?
Yes.
And we're doing that because we expect the expenses to be lower, or because we just want to have a cushion in case there is something going on with the city budget, or?
Well, last year we asked for more, but then the mayor cut. The gap was filled in by, until unspent salaries.
Okay, so
We're not asking for as much as we asked yesterday. We're sort of, I think this is the conservative approach, assuming that we don't get cut again. So it's more than we actually ended up getting, which is 31,000 if you want to round it off, but not as much as we asked for last time.
Okay. And my second question is, we have 2 months left in the fiscal year, May and June, and we have 23,851 remaining, correct?
Yes,
That's
for
a
OTPS.
substantial- Yeah, that's a substantial amount of money. And you know, this is taxpayer money. I'm not suggesting that, you know, we hold parties or anything like that. But I am wondering, do we have any plan to utilize the 23,851?
spend it down.
Yeah.
That seems to be the conundrum. If you hold it and sort of keep it in abeyance instead of spending on the front end, then you end up in May furiously trying to spend down. I don't know if the,
Well, the cushion is really, a lot of money is in that cushion. We don't really know if we're allowed to touch that money. They make us, it says, we can't touch this unless we move it out to something else. But they initially asked us to put 20,000 into that cushion, which left us with like $9,000. to spend for the year. So we, took 10 of that out and put it out there. This is the month that we are gonna be spending a lot of money. So, I know Joey knows, I've been submitting for a lot of, expense requests, between the new system that's coming for the OWL speakers,
Mm-hmm.
between office supplies, we're replenishing everything, stamps, postage. We will spend, because when we look at the number without the 10,000, we are spending that for sure. I do want to speak to OMB about this $10,000.
Mhm.
Like, are we supposed to hold this till
Right.
you know, forever, or this is just for emergencies, or what is this
Right.
for?
Okay.
Sorry.
And that guidebooks, updated housing guides is included in that. Go ahead, Rose.
So just in the description of the first one, supplies and materials, it was stated that it would be the technology equipment for 25, but are you doing it this year or next year? That
I'm doing it this year.
So the 8,893 is not technology equipment?
Some of it will be. It's also for office supplies and everything else. The printing supplies is for the housing guide and other things like
I
that.
understand, it's just,
Yeah.
it was stated in the presentation
Yeah.
that it was gonna be used for technical
Mhm.
equipment.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
It's separate, so what's the difference between the technical equipment this year and the technical equipment next year?
Oh, okay. Well, next year, we might need a new laptop. We don't know our situation with our staff yet, so we project that we want to get a new laptop for someone next year.
Okay, but not technical stuff for the meetings.
Well, we're buying some stuff now, the OWL system. If it works here well, we want to, look into, having a portable one to bring to our outside meetings as well. So, yes, that would be something we can discuss for next year.
I got confused in that presentation. Okay, the second question is the cleaning services. That feels like a big jump, and I heard the statement you're gonna negotiate. Did you consider putting it out to bid?
Well, that's
This
what
is a
we
sizable
discussed.
amount of money.
Yes, so
Jump.
the
Two.
full amount, it didn't go up in price. It's
Mhm.
been the same price since I've come here. But that full amount wasn't, I guess, projected on your initial budget for cleaning services. You had, I think, $6,000 projected, but it's gonna end up being 78 because we figured it out exact to what we spend every month. So,
It's just, I'm,
but yes, we would like to
again,
put a bid out to others to see the cost for
so
next
then
year.
you're not going to negotiate a new price, you are gonna bid. That was my question.
Yeah, we're gonna find out if the cost with other, cleaning service agencies as well, to see what it would cost for next year.
A bid.
A bid, yes,
Well,
yes.
potentially, right? It's not necessarily a bid if it's competitive.
That's why I used the term bid. Okay, and if it's not gonna be a bid, then it's gonna be another process. I'm just trying to understand, okay? I didn't understand, when it's stated that you are gonna negotiate a better price, that's a different process than putting it out to bid. So it is gonna be an official bid or not? Okay, I'm beating a dead horse here, it's a simple question. It's gonna be an official bid or not?
Well, I'll talk to you later about what you mean by official bid.
Okay.
I don't wanna say the wrong thing, and I don't know.
I believe I said that you were thinking about,
Yes.
the possibility of negotiating. Negotiating, yeah.
Roughly, how much is the OWL system? 2,000, 8,000?
$3,000.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. The district manager's report.
You have to, oh, wait, you don't vote on any of them. The next one, okay, sorry. Great, let me get my, I lost my papers after all that. Hold on, 1 second.
I mean, same with all of them, really.
I just had my report, and now I don't. Put it over here. Give me 1 second.
Nice, good, all right.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Members of CB8 attended the Mayor's Town Hall in Riverdale on April 17th, and I want to thank all of those of you that came and asked questions for the mayor to address in our community. It was a very interesting roundtable discussion, and where they placed everyone at different tables to discuss the issues that were important to everyone at the table, and then each table got to choose one key question to ask of the mayor. All other questions were noted and given to the mayor to address. There were a lot of impressive students also there from RKA 141, and some expressed interest in joining our board. We are connecting one student right now with the VP's office and with us. Right now, I'm going to just recommend that they come to committee meetings, and then maybe they can actually become a committee member and then apply to the board. So that was very exciting. I know we just spoke about it, but I'll be purchasing the microphones and speaker system for our office this month, and finalize all that in May. I've started ordering supplies needed for the office, new brochures, new giveaways, and that we are tabling at for spring and summer, and we will be spending down against what we had budgeted for. Our next event is on May 19th. I know it coincides with the parade, but I'm hoping to get more volunteers from our board to come to the table. The event runs from 1 to 6. We're asking for volunteers from 12 to 6. We have a couple of volunteers so far, but definitely could use more. We also signed up, just so everyone knows, for the Riverdale Pride event in June. I'm just waiting for the date on that. And in August, we are usually part of the National Night Out and also the Marble Hill Resident Family Fun Day. DOB reached out and asked our office to do an event with the council member Dinowitz and Assembly member Jeff Dinowitz to do a DOB event with help getting, resolving open summonses through the Get the Summonses Corrected campaign. So we are coordinating between our three offices to pick a date to do that. There is a flyer here. It's just a generic flyer, but it's just kind of, it's what we'll post to everyone with all of our offices on it, if anyone would like to see that. We have not yet received any nominations yet for the Irving Latimer, not the Irving Latimer, the Comeback Kid Award. So we are reaching out again to schools and after-school programs to ask if they can nominate a deserving person. Our deadline is May 19th. So I'm hoping if anyone knows of anyone or can post our flyer as well, it would be very helpful. The mayor's office has requested, as I mentioned before, for local civil groups, bids, and community board members to submit an application to be on the neighborhood support team for our district in the Bronx. I believe we had 2 people who were interested, but they would like 1 more for our district to be considered. So if anyone has any interest, they can resend the application link, or and hopefully we'll have 3 people and be part of this process. My next district cabinet meeting will be on May 7th. And again, a request from any of you, if you have any issues you want to discuss at the meeting, to please send them to me. And also a reminder, if you have any photos of meetings or events that you participated in as a board member, please send them to the office so we can post it in our newsletter. And I know Julie already mentioned the meeting spaces. That was my last item, so I will leave it at that and open to questions.
Martin?
Has the mayor's office explained yet, because they haven't from the beginning, the difference between the community board and the neighborhood support team? Because from the beginning, I thought they were in conflict and could raise problems.
Okay, I can pose that question and ask, and see what they say.
It's about 3 or 4 years now that they exist,
Mm-hmm.
and I always thought it was It wasn't complimentary, it was potential conflict.
Okay. I will ask them. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Barbara. So we'll move on, we did roll call, Oscar and Sanders, so that'll be noted in roll call. And now we'll do the approval of the March 6th Executive Committee minutes, which everyone has received. Are there any comments or edits to the minutes?
Last 16 tickets.
Okay, so we'll take the minutes as is. Any abstentions? Approval? All approved. Okay, thank you. Now we'll do the committee reports and resolutions. Okay, we'll start with the Aging Committee.
Our next meeting is May 9th, that's Thursday, Methodist Home at 4 p.m.
Thank you. And you had a nice guest speaker at your last
Yes.
one. Budget?
I just wanted to make a comment. I think everybody in this room has heard me say at least 10, if not 20 times this past year, that the, that the budget requests needed to be in by April 19th, and that they were to be sent to the office and with a CC to me. 3 committees have not submitted their budget requests. 3 other committees sent it just to the office and wasted the office staff's time having to go find it and forward it to me. That's all. But other than that, I think we're ready to move on. I just rather not waste your team's time in that. But also, the other 3 committees are still missing, and I've given numerous reminders. Julie has sent out a reminder, and you're holding up a process. So please, folks, let's just wrap it up. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We'll reach out to them again tomorrow, and we'll ask them to CC you as well.
We can kick them in the shins.
No, people already say I'm not nice. Okay, thank you, David.
You're welcome.
So, economic development?
Okay, we have the 3, the nominations for the, awardees for the, 2024 Betty Campbell Adams Most Valuable Merchant Award. And Sarah, did Nick mention that he was okay with, distributing the redacted for the
Yes, so everyone was emailed them, and there's copies here as well.
Okay. So our next meeting is at,
They're the same.
you can refer to our committee meeting minutes, online, and our next meeting is scheduled for May 7th at Onville Box. We're having, the proprietor of the new, wine bar on Mashulu, Coast Wine Bar, Katarina Charles, come and speak with us. So we invite, everyone to attend.
David?
Can I ask some questions about the nominations?
Yes.
Okay. As I recall, one of the key things that we set up the most valuable merchant about was, although technically a merchant can be a business, the reference was to a person when we set this up, and that the nominee was to be a person who contributed to the community, happens to be in a business or a not-for-profit or whatever, but that it was a person that was to be nominated, not a business. Because it creates a complication if we are promoting Sam Smith's business as opposed to Sam Smith, who's also a Little League coach and umpire and this, that, and the other thing. So I'm concerned about 2 of the nominations to that effect. Plus, also, I thought we had a rule that you couldn't self-nominate. One of those applications uses the word "we" 3 times in their letter of recommendation. So they obviously were self-nominated. And I've got a problem in both circumstances.
So we'll take that,
It's valuable merchant thing.
okay. We'll take that under advisement. I'll speak to Nick about that. The committee has not voted on it.
Has not.
No.
So you're not planning on presenting it next
No,
week?
they have, they made 3 resolutions on it. You picked all 3.
You just told me this afternoon that the committee hasn't voted on the resolution yet. We're going to vote on the resolution next week. So I'll take it under advisement and I'll speak with him. He may actually make it here this evening, but if not, I'll talk to him this evening about it.
But is the plan to present the nominations Tuesday at the board meeting?
Yes, you mean the Economic Development Committee meeting?
No. The nominations, the resolutions for the nominees for the Most Valuable Merchant Betty Campbell Award, is that going to be presented to the board on Tuesday or next month?
My understanding is it would have been at the next upcoming board, which would be this month.
Next week, Tuesday.
Not next
No,
week.
not next week, it's the week after.
The 14th, on the 14th.
Sorry,
Next week is.
I automatically assumed the next Tuesday. You're right. But at any rate, the next week,
And they will have to be approved by the board.
yeah. All right, I do have very big concerns about those, 2 nominations. I don't know who they are, but, just in, principle of not promoting a business, and not, not allowing for self-nominations.
Yeah, I don't believe they were self-nominations, but I'll double check on that for sure.
Okay, the second letter of support said "we" several times, so I believe it was written by the owner of the drugstore.
And then if their minutes aren't done in time for the meeting, at least, some communication from Nick could be distributed to, the exec in regards to the questions, so that it's answered before. Hello, Daniel?
No.
Wait a minute. What I was saying was that if the minutes, because they're having their meeting right before us, if they're not done in time, let's be realistic, sometimes it won't be done in time, so that Nick can send us the exact information into your inquiry, so that when it's brought up to the board, we'll be up to speed, and then we can vote yes or no.
I mean, do we have a principle that we don't allow for self-nomination? I thought, don't we?
That's the way it started out, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll look at
the person could be wonderful, but, just,
No, but if it's self-nomination, and we say no self-nomination, then we cannot vote for them.
right. Okay, very good, thank you.
Oh, you got your hand up?
All right, it's just going, I mean, it's, look, the committee's going to make its decision, and it's going to present it to the board and, for discussion. And that's where we are. I mean, the committee's there to make this determination, they'll make their determination, and they'll come to us.
So we will be voting on it
Mm-hmm.
on the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you. So, and the next meeting is being held when?
Well, that's next Tuesday. On the Box Cafe.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Sylvia, education?
I can't, things have changed on the screen and I don't know how to raise my hand. So I will speak.
That's okay.
We had no meeting in April and, my next meeting is May 28th. The only thing that has happened that's interesting is that, Mayor Adams has gotten another 2 years of mayor control of the schools, which, is not a good thing, but that's what we're stuck with. That's it.
Thank you, Sylvia. Any questions? Environment and sanitation, Daniel?
We also did not have a meeting in April. Our next meeting is gonna be on the 15th of May, right here. But that's it. There's not, I mean,
Thank you. Okay, health and hospitals? Anyone reporting for health and hospitals?
I mean, I can chime in, I'm a member of the committee. Thinking back, we're having, a joint committee with SCREE in June, I believe. And we're gonna be talking about, a resource that we've created together. So I'll talk about that, during SCREE, but, that's all I can remember.
Thank you, Margaret. Okay, housing?
Again, no meeting in April. Our meeting now is May 29th. And as we come to the end of the year, it's clear putting that guide to bed is the top of the agenda. It just has to be done. And, so we'll be spending our time on that. It's not terribly interesting, but important nonetheless. We're gonna try one more time to get our council member to, come to our meeting. I noticed there are a number of bills that she's been on the TV talking about that she promoted that have to do with housing. Maybe she can come and tell us about those, but she's too big a resource for this community board and this community not to come and talk to us. So we're trying for that. If we're not able to, I think I may have a follow-up. Person doesn't know yet, but everybody saw 421A got passed in Albany after over 2 years of, they're saying it's the principal reason that no housing is being built, because there was no 421A. Program has changed. I do not know how, but I'm very curious, and with City of Yes, housing, and all that key part of 421A, I think is important for us to understand. So if we're not able to get Sanchez, I have somebody up my sleeve to come and talk to us about 421A. That's it.
Thank you.
I just want to comment on that. I don't know if you saw, but she has an issue, the council member, so she did ask if we could meet earlier. That way she could be at the meeting. It's 6 instead of 7.
Fine with me. Fine with me. Okay, so I'll talk to the committee members. So I'm saying 6:30? She'd rather at 6? 6, no problem. Okay, good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That's good news. Good, okay.
And I just want to add, Jalen, our intern who's assisting you, her internship actually ended, but she's decided to stay and assist us because she wants to follow things through and finish up with the guide and help out Farah and everyone here in the office.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She really is she's wonderful. Yeah.
Her internship finished, but she's,
Great.
I think it's wonderful.
Thank you for telling me that. That's good.
And she comes in every Tuesday and Friday, and she helps you, outside of the office too, whenever.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next is Randy.
Now, being here, I will take the liberty of first talking about the subcommittee. Building on Riverdale Avenue is getting closer and closer, and those who haven't walked by know that the fence is down, the sidewalk shed is down, and the sculpture is up. So it
looks taller and taller, too, right? And it's all weird looking.
They like landscape, they like keep changing it a little around us.
And we have a meeting scheduled in the next couple of weeks. It is my hope if DOB and STAG can get their calendars together appropriately, we may get a walking tour. The committee, we may not. We've always been hoping for the last several meetings, but it hasn't happened. Okay, also with respect to the committee, where did I put it? That's not it. Here we go. The land use committee meeting this coming Monday has had a rather extensive agenda, but based on the latest, it seems half the items on discussion are being put off. So we won't talk about them, we'll mention them, but we're talking about a house on Island Avenue wishing to expand. In fact, that's the main item on the agenda. The Hebrew home and the building on 231st and Broadway to be built. They're not ready yet. And, LPC application should be coming up shortly, and that refers to the Manhattan College Parkway, which I have been concerned because their original application to us was for approval of changes to the property that they had already done years ago. I love when they come to us and say, it's your problem now, let us do more work because you didn't ask for the first. So it should be an interesting meeting, and, come by Zoom, come in person, whichever.
I just want to add to that they withdrew the permit request for the work on that. So he said that they won't be coming in May or June. I mean, later if they change, just to let you know that 4901 will not be on the agenda for the next 2 months.
Okay.
So they're just gonna do the work without a permit instead? Again.
It worked before.
Did the agenda go out already for this meeting? Did the agenda go out for late? Okay, yeah, I was trying to remember whether I missed it or not. Okay, thanks.
So that's all for land use.
Any other questions? Thank you, Marty.
Next comes LRE.
Rules and ethics, Marty.
Okay, Alex Kipp, who was supposed to come last month, wasn't able to. He was taken out of town. I love when city employees go out of town, but, there he went. But he'll be at the next meeting, which is the following Monday, and, we look forward to both his humor and his insight. So, everyone is welcome, and by Zoom or in person. I have some interesting questions I want to ask him, and hopefully it will be insightful for the audience. The other issue of concern, which I share and have shared, is that some months ago, we raised the question of getting rid of the concept of extraordinary circumstances. Shortly thereafter, I sent out a questionnaire. Actually, I asked Steve to herald that. Went out, minimal response from chairs with respect to whether they thought it was a good idea or a bad idea. We moved on from there. The committee plans to submit for the next meeting a resolution which will eliminate extraordinary circumstances from the process that we have created this last year. Just know, and I read it today for the first time, and my reading is that there's absolutely zero changes. The governor just signed on May 5th. Could have been on May 5th. I go back and check the date. The governor just signed a 2-year extension to the current law. No changes. And as I read it, I didn't see any changes, and it says no changes, so I will double check and read it again, and my committee will get it tomorrow, so they can look into it and review it. So
On
my
April
assumption-
20th, just so you know, posting on it.
Okay, well, that was the cover letter. But
Oh,
there's
yeah,
more-
but
there's
that's
more
just to give you
substance
the
beyond
date.
it. We had a meeting last month, and, we didn't have a quorum. Therefore, there's no resolution to present to you tonight. It is my hope that when the committee meets next week, a week and a half from now, we will come up with a resolution which will be brought before the board. Actually, there should be 2 resolutions. One resolution for us to renew the whole concept of telecommunications in those meetings. That was the first requirement under the new law. We always gave ourselves a chance to renew and look at and decide if we wanted to continue, what the outcome of that vote will be. I presume it'll be to continue. Nothing significant has changed. But the second resolution will be a change of the procedures we spent a long time developing, removing any reference in the procedures to extraordinary circumstances. If you want an interesting meeting, Zoom again, in addition to Alex. But again, it's my hope that the next board meeting, there will be such a resolution. And that's all I have to say now. But it's just that 2 months ago, I sent out a letter, actually Steve and I sent out a letter outlining the reasons why we thought that extraordinary circumstances was more problems than it was worth, and that we thought it would be a good idea to eliminate. And I have asked at every meeting of the exec, every meeting of the full board, anyone has input. Again, it's been a desert. So, there have been a couple of people who gave reasoned responses as to why they thought it should be eliminated. One person who just said it shouldn't be eliminated, and though I prodded, I couldn't get an answer. Why should it be continued? Whatever, just know that it's coming, and I thank those who did respond. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Thank you, Marty. Parks.
So we did have an April meeting. At the April meeting, the DEC came and they talked about Mashulu Golf Course and the driving range at Mashulu Golf Course. Just providing an update, and the news, I guess, is the first tee will be continuing on as a concession there. And they've hired Kemper, which is an organization that operates golf courses and golf, restaurants and kind of facilities and things. They've hired them to actually operate the golf course so that they can focus, so that First Tee can focus on all the educational work that they do, which sounds like kind of a great partnership. So, that was pretty exciting. The other thing is we passed a resolution which will be coming to the committee, the full board meeting, in a couple of weeks. And the resolution is basically for the Parks Department, to ask the Parks Department to look into the acquiring of the land, either through lease, purchase, or easement, from the existing end of the Tibbetts Brook daylighting project to what would be the anticipated beginning of the Harlem River Greenway as it's currently planned, according to the Harlem River Greenway Committee, or our Harlem River Greenway Working Group, which is part of the Bronx Council on Environmental Quality. So this is just a request that the Parks Department looks into acquiring that land so that there will be one continuous greenway that will include the Putnam, Tibbetts Brook Greenway that will run along the Deegan up to Van Cortlandt Park. So it would allow it to run the whole distance. If you don't know that much about the Harlem River Greenway, it's definitely worth going and to DOT's site. They've been collecting a lot of community input on it over the last year and a half. And they got a raise fund from the federal government to study where the exact route should be. So they're in the process of identifying kind of a permanent route that would eventually be that's going to be developed, that would be off-road along the river, proper greenway, and they're working with developers and stuff on it. And then they're also identifying kind of a shorter-term proposed on-street cycling that would connect all the way from Randall's Island all the way up to Van Cortlandt Park. So they've been getting a lot of community feedback on the two sections, basically, north and south. So this is just purely just to request the Parks Department looks into the off-street portion of this greenway so that the Putnam would connect to it. Any questions about it? About the ULURP? Yeah, David.
In the last paragraph, therefore be it further resolved, second line says, or easement of the currently owned MTA property. Reasonably certain that MTA doesn't own the property, they may operate from it, but I don't think they own it. So I think we should change the language to say MTA operations on the property, which would make it easier for the process of moving them. But if we state that they own it, it could make it more complicated.
Who do you think owns the property, David?
Yeah.
It might still be CSX. I'm sure they owned it at the start, but I don't know that we know that they own it. I don't think they do. But if we say that they operate on it, that's still factual. And I think actually removes them or makes them a step further away from it in the process of when we want to say we'd like them out of there altogether.
Well, it ought to be, it shouldn't be difficult to figure out who actually owns the property.
Right.
Whether it's CSX or the MTA.
Right.
And I think we should be able to do that before the 14th.
Yeah, I know.
Or you could change the language just to say MTA operates on that property,
Well,
and that's
I
still
think the
factual.
The question still ought to be resolved, so, and we could do that by the 14th. It's not a difficult question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Bob Panuzzi, Karen Argenti, and Chauncey were all weighing in on it being owned by the MTA, but I'm happy to double check it just to confirm. And then, our next, Parks Committee meeting is gonna be May 22nd. We're going to have, the National Society of Colonial Dames of New York will be there. They're gonna be coming back to, give us updates on their hiring. There's no managing director of the museum. So, they're gonna, give us an update on how the hiring is going, what they've been doing to make it more equitable, what they've been doing for more outreach, and then also to give us, a kind of, insight into what their programming and plans are for the summer. Van Cortlandt Park Alliance is actually gonna also present too on what their programming is, for the spring and for summer as well, just so we have a full picture. And we reached out to our elected officials to get some help, in just further understanding the equity issues that have been raised by the community around their membership stuff. So hopefully our electeds will be able to kind of guide us on that, and then we can focus on the actual programming and hiring and stuff like that. So, that is May 22nd.
Just so I understand this a bit better, Van Cortlandt Park Alliance, is not the lessor of this property to the Dames. It's the parks, it's somebody else's, right? Okay. So whoever that is,
It's the Parks Department.
the Parks Department, or like the Arsenal, like downtown.
Yeah, like the Arsenal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is somebody from the Parks Department gonna be at your 22nd meeting? Do you know,
We
they?
can check. Usually the Historic House Trust is usually the ones, they've been emailed on it, but we haven't confirmed their attendance yet.
It just seems the entity that's in charge of the lease and in charge of enforcing the lease and in charge of not having done the lease for 10 years should be in the room.
Yeah, no, I think
Okay.
that's a good thing to raise, no, I think.
Thank
Well,
you.
they have been at the previous
They've
meeting.
been at all the other ones.
So this one,
Right, no, I understand.
maybe they'll be there, you're not sure, but it
Yeah,
would be.
but it's a good point to raise to make sure that they're gonna be there.
Thank
They've
you.
been at all the other ones.
Yeah, TPR.
Yeah,
Well,
Historic House Trust,
specifically the Alliance, yeah.
yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Deb. Okay, Public safety, Ed?
Public safety, at our April meeting, we had one resolution, for a renewal application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider for, Gaelic Athletic Association of Greater New York. That's at 201 West 240th, probably better known as Gaelic Park. And, there were no issues. 50th Precinct said no issues. Committee approved the application unanimously. That's our, one resolution that we're gonna bring to the board. After our meeting, since then, something has come up to our attention. So the board was sent a notice by SLA. Apparently there's going to be a new business that's applying for a liquor license at 220 West 242nd Street. So, what SLA wants is, because there's it's a 500-foot hearing, basically, which means that they want to know from this business if it's in the public interest, because there's going to be liquor there. And right next door, this is a red flag for me, only because right next door is Tijuana Nights, which we have had, well, for those not familiar, there's been a lot of 311 calls. We've had a lot of history with that. Our committee has put forth resolutions, opposing corporate changes, all kinds of stuff with them. We've had people come to our committee testifying that they've been assaulted outside this place and by members of the place. So it has, I don't have a recent history on it, but believe me, when we come close to them renewal, we will go through that with a fine-tooth comb, but it does have a history, so it raised a red flag with me. So, you know, I want to thank Farah and Artie, because great research. We did a little research and we found out that, you know, my concern was there any association with this new person moving in? So apparently the landlord of 216/222 West 242nd, so that covers both those businesses. Their lawyers are stating that he's going to be the principal of this new business, but they're stating he has no association with Tijuana Nights. So that's where we are with that. So also significant, the board has 15 days to reply from when we got the notice. So I think the date we have, I think it's by the 6th we have. So obviously, it can't go through our committee, it can't go through the board. Is it in the public interest? Does the board want to, make a comment on this? I just wanted to put this out there because this is what we received from them, and unfortunately, there's not enough time for this to go in front of the Public Safety Committee and the full board for us to make any vote on the board having any recommendations here. But I like the fact that SLA, so any comment that we may be able to put forth, this is the type of stuff that's going to go before the administrative law judge when they make the decision of whether this business is in the public interest or not. You know, my initial knee-jerk reaction is, do we really want another bar next to a bar that's causing a lot of problems? But, that's open for debate. You don't want to punish an innocent business also. But I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on this or what actions we can take at this point. I mean, I know I can't unilaterally say, hey, we don't want this,
I mean, my first reaction is, what's the rush? I mean, why do we have to respond within 15 days to something that, where we have so little information? But that's probably not going to get us anywhere because the SLA has its policy, and
correct,
whether we like it or not, that's what it is.
Right.
But I think you raised a good point about, why should, I understand your point about penalizing the new owners for the bad behavior of the current owners next door. But still, I mean, having one bar right next to another bar, that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, just from an economic point of view, it doesn't make a whole lot of, why would you open up a bar next door to a bar? I mean, it seems like you're, putting yourself at an economic disadvantage by doing that. So I think it's, I mean, again, my personal opinion, I think what the question you raise is a legitimate question. Does it make sense to have one bar right next to another one? And, that doesn't sound like it's something that serves the community well, not to me.
It's a restaurant though, too, right? It's not just a...
Well, see, here's the oddest part to me about this whole thing. I have yet to receive the application. We received a questionnaire. We received all types of documentation from SLA that go to both the applicant and the municipality or community board, who has an opportunity to reply, but I have yet to see the actual application. So it's kind of it would be hard for me to make judgments on things whether I don't know exactly what type of a business this is going to be. So that's something, I'm going to get up, we'll speak about that tomorrow and reach out.
Mention the other restaurant he used to own around the corner.
Okay, so also maybe worthy of bringing up is this particular landlord, he's owned he said he owned Cafe Bonagusto, which was at Manhattan College Parkway, 4574 Manhattan College Parkway.
The Riverdale Garden used to be originally.
And apartment building.
He also has a Manhattan location of a similar name at 1589 2nd Avenue. So this is the guy who's the owner of the building, but, we reached out to them and their lawyer gave us something in writing stating that they have no affiliation with Tijuana Nights, which is business that we've had issues with in the past.
Okay, I think Rosemary had a hand up, then Deb, and then Dave.
I'm going to say something similar to what Bob said. The restriction on the time to respond is very troublesome. It really is, because it's impossible. And my second thought is, I don't think it's great or responsible for us to be silent on an issue. This is a community issue. We do not have a crystal ball to look in and say it's going to be terrible, it's going to be awful, but we have enough past history with that area, the area in general, to raise questions, maybe concerns, but certainly questions. You know, the one thing that is fungible is people. Come out of one bar, going to the other. I mean, so there is something about two bars being next to each other. You get 86 in one and you flop over to the next one. It does matter that they're next to each other. So, is it possible, just a thought, to write a letter and say, you understand that we work through committee and then the full board? This 15 days does not give us sufficient time to hear from the community, to fully understand the questions and concerns that we would care about, and at least that goes on the record that we have not had enough time, and we may very well, without saying we do, have concerns. You say the letter is going to go before an administrative law judge. I think it's important that there's something. Silence is not good. But, okay, that's all I got to say.
You're gonna be my consigliere. That's exactly what the type of guidance I wanted to hear on this, because that's where I was thinking too, that, because we...
Okay, wait a minute, I take
Go ahead.
offense to that, because what did I tell you when you walked in here? Are you kidding me? I said the same thing, and then these two walked in. I said the exact same thing. That I take offense to.
She did.
Go ahead, I said, treat them like you treat every other business. I said the exact same thing, so I'm putting you on the spot here. And these are my witnesses. Okay, Deb, and then Dave,
I
and
need
then
to work on
Laura.
my listening skills.
So the idea here is that the 500-foot rule is that two bars should be more than 500 feet apart. Is that
I don't believe it's 2 bars, it's a certain, I don't know, I can't tell you exactly, but it's a certain amount of businesses within 500 feet. Is it 2, Laura? I believe it is 2, right?
Just 5 bars within 500 feet of each other?
Right.
Liquor licenses.
Liquor licenses.
It's not that it's disallowed, it's just that the SLA wants to know from the community and from the business why it would be in the public interest. It's a public interest
To make
issue.
sure it's not overpopulated, because we have it on
So
Riverdale.
that's what I wanted to say, is
Yeah.
that it seems like the SLA already understands that if you put two
Bars directly beside each other, you're starting to create kind of a nightlife, block. And that those
come with special nuisances, and so the public interest piece of it would
kind of carve out a space
for a business that might be a nonprofit or an event space or something that might
actually be great for weddings, or a restaurant where there aren't restaurants, or something that where the community would have a unique need for that's not already being addressed. I think to Bob's point, if there's already a bar there, and you don't really need another bar,
per se, so there's no public interest in having a second bar right next door, and that it's
opening the door for a nightlife kind of corridor to open up with more noise, because you're kind of doubling your noise. To Rosemary's point, you've got people going in and out, even people hanging out in front, you're gonna double that volume. You know, it seems like a bad idea, even if the second person is much more responsible than the first.
right, that the landlord is already having trouble managing their first tenant, so why give them another one?
Well, just for a little bit of context, I grew up on Broadway, and they had 4 bars going to all hours of the night back in the day, so I don't think SLA has cared much in the past if they have multiple bars there.
I've lived in the East Village for 30 years, they don't care.
Exactly.
But it does change the neighborhood a great deal.
Yeah.
If you have a whole block that starts to fill in that way.
Well, this says a 500-foot rule is 3 establishments or more within. 3
Okay,
more.
great.
So who, and then save it, and then.
Yeah, I think that Rosemary's point about community issue is really important. I think we've had more complaints about that site than all other sites combined. And it got so bad that the former commanding officer of the 50 precinct told his cops it was off limits. They could not visit it at any time, not for lunch, nonetheless dinner or beers afterward. My question for you is, Did we ask them about a 1 o'clock closing?
Well, we don't even know what they are.
We don't even have an application for them yet. Yeah, they'd have to come before us, or, the short answer is no. Not yet.
But that is still a possibility.
It's more than a possibility.
Okay, good.
We wouldn't accept the application, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Who was next? I think Laura and then Margaret.
What's hard is that we don't know the nature. Is it a restaurant that has a liquor license? Is it a bar? You know, not having this information, I think that goes into our response. The timeline issue, everything Rosemary was saying, and the fact that we don't know the nature.
At 6:30.
And Julie, I'm sorry.
I know it wasn't an official meeting.
Right over it.
I'll never live it down.
Julie made it. So that we're entitled to more information. I mean, they had this 500-foot rule hearing for a reason. I mean, that's part of their procedure, and they really need to give us more information. And we
Right.
need to complain about that we don't have this, we don't have that. And, so that, because if you don't respond, then it's just a tacit approval. If you don't respond, so you have to,
I think we'll write a letter then.
yeah.
Okay. Margaret?
My questions were, I mean, I remember that cafe. I don't think it was open for more than 6 months. I'd be curious if they ever had a liquor license. They were never open. It looked very quaint, but to open another business, basically on the same block that was a bust, doesn't make sense to me, and then to open it in such a precarious, spot. And then I'd also like to know the landlord's, other location in Manhattan. It just,
Have that.
589 Second Avenue.
Artie's looking into that one as well, so we'll report back.
those would be my other, points, and I just, on Sunday, I feel for the neighbors. I mean, walking past, Tijuana Bites, and I don't know what their connection to Barcelona Bites was or is, and if there's any connection to the landlord.
It's a shell game.
Yeah.
It's a shell game.
Right. So, I mean, but, like, I was on the other side of the street on Sunday, it's a beautiful sunny day, and neighbors who live in that building, they must be vibrating. That is how loud it is. I mean, it's a lifestyle, I get it, but.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Daniel?
So, even if you approved it, isn't this just like the first hurdle, and it would still come back, even get the approval for the liquor license once there's a full application? Like, after this, like, this is just like the first roadblock, even before they've been allowed to, like, submit the real application?
Well, this wouldn't necessarily be approval. This is just a response to, SLA's inquiry about whether this, business serves the public interest. What the administrative law judge wants to do with that, that's up to them. It would have to come before our committee regardless, anyway.
Like, if you said, oh, we don't, like, 500-foot, like, that's fine, we approve, like, that section's okay, really still the whole application is still gonna have to come up. No, I'm saying not that you would, but like, that it doesn't approve the rest of, it doesn't really approve this business, it just approves that piece.
Like the 500.
It gets them past the law judge, and then they come before the committee, and then and then the board, and then SLA after them, with or without our
Other chances to
recommendation.
be rejected even later, too.
Correct,
Yeah,
but
we're only, SLAs really loves to give licenses and, what's the word we always use? We're, just,
advisory.
advisory.
Right.
Okay, any other questions, comments on your decision?
We're gonna write a
Mr.
letter.
Green? Oh, wow, thank you.
We're gonna do just what you
Okay, wait, and I put a time here for you, wait. There you go. Okay, any other thing?
No, our next meeting is, the 21st to, the third Tuesday of this month,
And they will be invited.
get an application.
Maybe they want to come beforehand. Okay, thank you. Kelly. Traffic and traffic.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. The TNT did not meet in April. We are scheduled to meet on May 16th. And right now on the agenda, we have MTA to do a presentation on a project at the 242nd Street 1 train station on ADA accessibility. And that's all I
Thank
have
you.
to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Is anyone reporting for you? Okay, so we'll go 3, Margaret?
So with the feedback of SCREE and, the Health Committee and Youth Committee, we created a resource guide on, how to mitigate and address hate. And so it sort of is, expansive resource guide, if I can be so generous. But it really walks individuals through what is a hate crime, how to report it, all the multiple state or city entities that you can go to, nonprofits if you don't feel comfortable in going to nonprofits that address the specific issues that you've been targeted for, and then, leads the reader through resources for mental health supports, to hopefully give individuals resources for suicide ideation, for a whole host of challenges that an individual might have initially. And then as you continue through the document, it's a focus on other ways in which New Yorkers can be discriminated by bias through housing, aging, youth, giving people some action items where if they have experienced something that they know that they can identify what it is, that we have more reports of hate crimes if individuals are experiencing that, or mechanisms that individuals can use as a way to fight against discrimination or bias, and putting it into one hopefully comprehensive document. So it's been sort of an iteration of ideas, and we'd like to present it for your consideration. And we'd like it to be an evolving document so that as things come up, as land use sees something, as TNT sees things. There's also a way, if you've ever received some kind of discriminatory or bias treatment or some kind of hate crime within the MTA system, that you have a way and means to report that. So all sorts of ways in which standing committees are doing this work day in and day out, and wanting to just create a comprehensive document where folks could go in the event that they need help, and to make it easy. So it's not an end-all be-all to what we are experiencing, and certainly many individuals are experiencing in a much more acute ways than others. But it is a way to take action when sometimes things feel very out of control. So we'd love to be able to share it with committees, with chairs. We'd love your feedback, ways that we can expand upon it, and to make it more user-friendly, as a way to provide another means of access and information for our community members.
Thank you, Margaret. And Sarah?
I was gonna add, is this like a guide, like a resource guide? Does it have multiple pages? Is it something you want us to make a brochure for as well? Or is this gonna be on the web, or?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it would be nice for a brochure.
Yeah.
The draft that you had, it had a lot of good information.
You have money to spend.
We have, it has a lot.
Gives you a time limit then.
I mean,
Send it out to everybody and let them look, because it was very informative, and seeing that we're gonna be out there doing tables, and I know the Health and Hospital, the rabbi was talking about that specific topic as well. I think it would be really useful. And it's not too cumbersome, it's just, there's a few pages, it's a nice read, and with good information.
It'd be nice to give out at National Night Out and Marble Hill Family Day.
So I'll share it with you all if you feel like it's useful as a printed, booklet or something, we can certainly do that. The text is from all of the resources, so it's all plagiarized. But really just trying to find a way to, cut through all of the noise and give people a chance to find some resources and support.
That's very informative.
It's very, very. One other thing to think about, you know, we did the senior guide a couple of years ago, the housing guide. We translated them all into Spanish. So that's like a second thing, it's a whole other thing that you have to do, but to keep it in mind, I think it would be useful to translate it into Spanish too.
Okay, great, thank you. Ben?
Our next, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, then I will mention, just like Rosemary has a June 1st deadline, if I could have it,
Ready to print.
that's the latest, if you want a guide.
Daniel?
Well, if I can share it, I'll share it, with the office. Well, you all have it. If you could send it to Chair. And if we give folks like, a 10-day turnaround, just for feedback, then I think we could.
Okay, yeah.
Neil, sorry.
Oh, my question was just if it took into account the new expanded definition of what counts as a hate crime. I guess Albany passed something like last week, adding things to that list that is supposed to make it so now they don't have to like figure it out later. I don't know. There were some I'll look at it when you send it.
Okay, cool.
I did send it to the office last week, so if there were not updates to public information, then it has not been updated. So that's a great point. Thank you.
Kind of to add on what Daniel just said, so this has come before the Public Safety Committee as far as hate crimes are concerned, and my understanding, if there's something new that I'm not aware of, I'd like to know, but my understanding was that, the NYPD has a hate crime task force, and, I'm not aware of any specific criteria that determines a hate crime. It's almost like, you know, what is pornography? I know when I see it, it's like one of those type things. So if there's any defined criteria, I'd love to know about it. So if anyone can send me
I think
information.
Officer Sala, he spoke at one of our board meetings because someone asked about hate crimes, and he did, infer that there were criteria. And maybe it is just as you're explaining, but I think he could probably speak to it, because
He's retired, I believe.
No,
He was transferred
To the Borough Command.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, then maybe one of his colleagues, but it seems, so maybe there's someone from the task force. I can reach out to them and see if they could come and speak to us on the criteria.
Cesar has recommended that we, speak with Mercedes, who I think is taking over 5-0 command from him. Yeah, New Hampshire.
Okay, thank you, Margaret, and.
Sorry, our next meeting is May 30th.
Are you reporting for veterans as well?
Sure. So last week we had the, Commissioner for Veterans Affairs, present at the Veterans Committee. She was, if you have any people in your life who have served, please refer to that meeting, because it was an incredible list of resources for those who have served in the armed forces, those who have served as nurses, those who have been caretakers to anyone who has served. All of the incredible resources at the, predominantly at the state level, but she also touched on the city as well as the federal government, some things that had just been recently announced. So definitely for the people in your lives, who need resources, who have earned those, benefits, please refer to the meeting recording. It was very, very informative. She's incredible. She represents the state of New York very well. She has served as a Marine. She has adopted the moniker Mama V. She's a force. So please, see the meeting minutes and the recording. I don't know if there will be an additional veterans meeting before the end of the year, but that is what I know.
Thank you, Margaret. And I sat in on that meeting. She could have kept going on with resources. And she gives her personal, contact, so you can contact her for any assistance. She was incredible. Yeah. Thank you, Margaret. Bob, do you have anything for the Hudson River Greenway?
Nope, nothing to report this month.
Thank you. And then we're to the, chair for the Irving Latimer Community Service Award, Mary Ellen.
Hi, on March 12th, the board chair, Julie Reyes, had submitted a resolution to appoint members Christopher Calhoun, Sebastian, Chapatelli, Mary Ellen Gibbs, and Barbara Kale to serve on the Ad HOC committee to review nominations. There were 3 nominations. There's no name to it. There is A, B, and C. And so on April 24th, we had a meeting. We had a vote. They voted for me to be chair. Chris read through the nominations A, B, and C, which you have a copy of, and we took a vote. 4 in favor, Chris Calhoun, Sebastian Chapatelli, Mary Ellen Gibbs, and Barbara Kale all voted for A.
First, I'm assuming we'll spell the A out completely on the resolution.
I'm sorry?
We're not gonna leave an A when we have the meeting.
Because we don't know who it is, right, because we don't know who it is yet.
I'm joking on that one. But be it further resolved, be it further resolved, I think is perfect. Committee Board A to approve the selection of nominee A to receive the Irving Latimer Community Service Award. Now be it resolved, which precedes that, the committee approves. Both don't approve. The committee recommends, suggests, et cetera, and the board approves. Again, it comes back to it's a board resolution, and it's a board award. And I have no idea what the honoree will do with the resolution when it's actually printed, but I don't think they need to be further resolved. I believe that's part of the original resolution that created the committee. We don't have to have we now dissolve ourselves, goodbye.
So you're saying remove that last, be
Remove
it
that
further
last.
resolved, okay.
Anybody else?
Other comments? David?
Yeah, 2 things. One, for A, it notes that for over a decade, this person has been hosting a dinner, which sounds quite nice. I've never heard of it, though. I wonder if it's open to the whole community.
Yes, definitely is. I've
How
been,
come we've never...
I actually have been to it. I've been invited to it, and it's the most loveliest thing I've ever seen. They actually have that. They have a nice talk, you know, and really nice meals or to anybody. They have it's people from, I mean, it's not just people from HIR. It's open to the public. Anybody who would like to come to the Shabbat dinner.
That was really my question. It seemed like it was very insular to members of the synagogue.
It explains on it. No, it does explain. It says open to the public, that people even, what they call, oh my goodness. There's homes in the neighborhood.
Shelters.
Not shelters, it's, a group homes.
Okay.
Where, I actually met a few of the people. They come and they really enjoy a meal, you know. I mean, 'cause there are some people that, you know, like, you know, these days especially, meals are like, you know, so and they give nice talks, so you don't feel like you don't belong there. They actually have, every year they have a Thanksgiving dinner as well, and all the community is welcome. You put it out publicly and everything. It's
That's fine. It just...
Actually, somebody didn't submit it, you know, when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is really...
That's fine. It just seemed from the outside that it was insult because I'd never heard of it. And the last one, frankly, Bob, help me out on this, but the C, doesn't it sound like Herb Barrett?
I did not look at it, I did not get a chance.
Well, okay, but, it does seem that way.
Okay, but let's not name names.
We're not mentioning names.
Well, they're not picking that person.
Huh?
Are there any other questions?
Well, I'd hate to pass over him, that's my point.
No, we did.
This person, the A, it's not a job, right? I mean, it sounds,
No.
it's not a job,
Nope.
it's volunteer. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you, Marion.
You're welcome.
Okay, the nominating committee chair?
We had our first meeting tonight, first informational meeting, organizational meeting, I should say. And, I was here as the chair. And, a memo will go out to board members, shortly reminding them about the goals of the nominating committee and how to apply, and our next dates, which will also go out shortly, will be, May 16th, before the TNT meeting, and May 20th.
Questions?
Well, I think, why don't you give us an update on where we are in terms of, committee chairs? I mean, it's worth mentioning here, I think, don't you?
Right. A memo was sent out to the board, I think about 10 days ago, and it indicated that the youth committee, economic development, housing, and PNT were, I put it in quotes, open, because everything is considered open, as well as nominations are taken from the floor. So that was sent out, and, we canceled tomorrow night's meeting because we don't have enough to interview yet. So that will take place on the 16th and the 20th. So, in the minutes for the first meeting, I was just elected tonight, so we haven't had a chair. Will go out shortly, and the memo to the board meeting, to the board, showing them again, reminding them of this, and giving them these dates will go out very shortly.
If I could elaborate just a little bit, we do have candidates for the youth committee. We have no candidates for housing, economic development, or traffic and transportation at the present time. And those are all important committees. I don't think we have any unimportant committees, but they're all important committees, and we really do need people to step forward and put themselves forward for those positions.
Maybe an email from the chair or the chair of the committee. This could be a message that gets pounded weekly into people. I mean, I think a number of people on the board just don't see it as their responsibility to step forward. And with term limits, the younger people on the community board have to step forward. They have to start considering taking these positions.
The only reason you're not getting calls is because you already have a position. So I'm just telling you, people will be getting calls. We will be doing recruitment, and this will go out.
And if I may, we have an example here tonight of somebody who did step up when we had an opening. Yes, two people, yes, exactly.
Excuse me, I didn't want to do it.
Well, I'm talking about new board members. You don't have to have been on the board for 10 years in order to be a committee chair.
Getting into.
I withdrew because Emily she was the vice chair, so I thought she really wanted to. So I did step up for youth, but I withdrew.
Well, I really think we should pass a rule that any outgoing chair can't leave until they recruit somebody else. Make that a rule.
Lifetime chairmanship.
Kelly?
Well, what about a rule to ask people to take on a chair within the second year of their...
Everybody should have to put themselves forward as a
It
chair.
doesn't have to be continuous, it's
Does
just
vice
1
chair
year.
count?
Well, didn't you also insist that all chairs make sure that they had a vice chair?
Yes.
And that helps.
Yeah. Definitely help.
No, that definitely helps. Anyway,
We're gonna
May
make some
16th
good.
and May 20th.
One question, so May 16th and May 20th, are those going to be dates when you're going to be interviewing people?
Yes.
And are people who are putting themselves forth as chair, should we plan on one of those dates will come to talk to the committee, even if you're already an existing chair? Are you doing that again?
No. I mean, if people wanna be interviewed, they're welcome to be interviewed, but we're focused on the new people, on filling needs. That's what we're focused on.
Okay.
If you have someone who wants the same, if you have two people who want a chair, then the chair will likely be interviewed. So, any other questions, comments? That's according to procedures, not according to me. Okay.
Right, it's voluntary unless
Right.
there's
When I
somebody.
was writing down Julie said.
No,
I just wanted to get that straight, because I
They both
said-
come in for an interview.
No,
If somebody
because I
comes
stepped
for-
away from
right,
the
right.
bylaws, rather I stepped away from the nominating committee. I asked them not to CC me in any correspondence, because according to the bylaws, it says, the chair is a member of all committees except for the nominating committee. So I'm not included in any.
So Julie did not say.
But I will be calling
Why did
people.
you participate?
I can participate as a board member. Okay, so, that takes care of the special committees, any unfinished business? Any new business? I have a new business, kind of new business, not really, because I mentioned it in the past, but because of the most valuable merchants awards and your questions, I just want to mention that the Economic Development Committee, years ago, because we were looking for paperwork on the criterias and the minutes and resolutions for all these awards that we give out, and for the Economic Development Committee, years ago, there's a blurb in the minutes that says, let's give out awards. And that's it, that we. No, that's Irving Latimer.
Oh, that-
The merchants, and.
The merchant that I started in.
I'm gonna go through everyone. So, and for the Merchants Award, years ago, in an economic meeting, it was a very good suggestions, but no criteria, anything was really written up. So I've asked the Economic Development Chair, the Youth Committee, even veterans, because they wanted to give out an award, so just form up criteria so that we could bring to the board, so that we could have something official. The only one that's correct was the Irving, well, what was the Community Service Award. That we have information on. But there's no resolutions on hand, there's no criteria, so I have sent out an email to the chairs asking, what would your committee recommend? And then we bring it to the exec, and then we bring it to the board and get it official. And last year, for the Merchants Awards, it was the Merchants, didn't they own the Treehouse? Yeah, because it's called a Merchants Award.
Yeah, it was
so-
a business.
Right, so just answering that,
Hmm?
so it's new business, but not really, but I just wanted to
Mhm.
get it on the record again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other new business, any questions, comments? The next executive meeting will be June 5th. And is there a motion to adjourn? Save it.
Second.
Second. Okay, anybody object?
No.
No.